Good morning, everyone. We were just doing a little dance in our chairs. I saw some of you dancing as well. Welcome. We're so pleased that all of you could join us this morning. And I have to tell you, we're just thrilled that you all came out today. So I hope that you are, I'll see already partaking in a little bit of lunch. We have something really, really special for you all today. You are in for a special treat, trust me. Because today we're going to spend some time talking about one of my favorite subjects, which is the newest island destination for Disney Cruise Line, Disney Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point on the stunning, beautiful island of Eleuthera in the Bahamas. And I don't know if you feel it, but today you kind of feel like you're in the Caribbean today, right? Kind of got that vibe. I see a couple of shirts going on, so you all came Disney bounded appropriately. So I'm going to be taking you on this journey today. And I brought some friends along with me, and I see some friendly and familiar faces. For those of you that don't know me, let me introduce myself as we get started. I'm Yolanda Cade. I'm the Vice President of Communications and Public Affairs for Disney Signature Experiences. But you don't just have me. I brought some friends along, as we like to do in Grand Disney style. And so joining me today are a group of my colleagues here on the panel. They're representing Disney Cruise Line, so we're going to talk about that. Walt Disney Imagineering is represented here, Disney Live Entertainment, and I'm also really excited that we have some incredible partners joining us from the Bahamas today. And boy, do we have an exciting panel planned for you today. I'm going to tell you, this is a stellar, just a dynamic group of individuals here, because as we talk about Disney Lookout Cay, what you're quickly going to learn is that this group is really responsible for helping us bring this beautiful tropical retreat to life and the teams that they represent. And so we have a lot to share with you about that today. I think what you will really pick up on most importantly is how everyone here, and as we talk about this project, how we've really put our hearts and really our souls into this work. And that's going to be reflected in every piece of this destination as we talk about it. Everything from the design details to the environment, it truly will be one of a kind. But I have to tell you, and you'll see some head nods from the panel here, they will absolutely agree. I'll tell you what the two shining stars are here for this beautiful island destination. It's really the stunning natural beauty, right, panel? Stunning natural beauty and the Bahamian culture. They are both on display here. And so we're really excited that our guests will get to see it firsthand pretty soon, but we're excited to talk to you about it as well today. So speaking of talking about a little bit about an island experience, I want to do a little bit of a poll, right? So this is where it gets interactive, and we'll give you a chance to ask some questions at the end. You're like, oh, we just came for the conch fritters, right? So I want you to give me a show of hands just to make sure everybody's up and ready for the panel. How many of you have sailed on a Disney cruise before? Everybody, look at all these Castaway Club members. I love it, absolutely. Well, thank you for being a guest. And so I guess by extension, how many of you have then obviously been to Castaway Cay, right? So you've been on our first beautiful island destination. So, many of you are probably asking yourselves, well, gosh, I'm here to learn about the new island destination. I wonder what the differences are, right? So how will Castaway Cay be different and amazing as an experience from Disney Lookout Cay? So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But here's what I can tell you before we take a deeper dive. These two beautiful destinations in the Bahamas will absolutely complement each other. So you'll hear that from our panelists today, and they'll explain why that is so. And the other thing that you'll also understand is that it really is going to give our Disney Cruise Line guests, of which you have all been on board our ships, really multiple opportunities to experience Bahamian culture, fun in the sun, you know that if you've been to Castaway, and all that a Disney cruise really embodies. So are you all ready for this? You ready to go? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Are you all ready to go? Okay, I believe it. As a fellow journalist, I just want to make sure you all are all with me, right? So in addition to doing a little Q&A, and you've had to raise your hand, I'm going to ask you to do a little something a little bit later. We want you to be a part of the celebration today. So you're going to have an opportunity to experience this for yourselves. You're thinking, oh gosh, Yolanda, what do I have to do? So start preparing yourself. Yeah, that's right. We have a special treat for you. So after we wrap up, you'll be invited to join in a preview of the entertainment, and we are going to rush through the destination. So if you don't know what that means now, you'll know what it means by the time we're done. Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay. It's easy. You'll do it, and I'll do it with you. I'll be right there with you, okay? So how about I introduce my friends that I brought along. It's a great panel, and just join me in giving them a warm welcome. I'm going to start to my left, Joey Gaskin. Joey is our Regional Public Affairs Director for Disney Cruise Line. Now, Joey's job is really special. He works on building and managing our relationships with the government officials in the Bahamas and the Caribbean and agencies there. He also works with local businesses and the community to support our Disney Cruise Line operation there. And maybe a little bit later, there's a little bit of a story behind those great socks with the pineapples on. So there's a little Easter egg there, so maybe Joey will tell us a little bit about how that ties into Eleuthera there, so just put you on the spot, okay? And then next joining us also, to Joey's left, Cassandra Rose, who is an Imagineer. What a cool job, right? So as a Disney Imagineer, Cassandra is responsible for leading the color story and really the design approach on projects like Disney Lookout Cay and other projects as well, right? But what Cassandra and her team do is they really go from the concept phase when we just start thinking about what this could be, right? Through fabrication and then finally installing it, right? And then welcoming our very best first guest. So Cassandra, I know you have a lot to share as well. Please also join me in welcoming to the panel Bradley Watson. Now, Bradley is our Conservation Programs Manager. Now, he has a very important role, as they all are, but he leads the implementation of our environmental management plan and the local conservation strategies with the Bahamas. And this has been particularly important, Bradley, and I know you're going to share as this project progresses. And you'll talk a little bit about how you've been very intentional in this area of our work, so I'll let you speak to that a little bit later. Now, getting down the line on our panel, who's been with us, the Walt Disney Company book, for 4 decades now. Please tune in. She started when she was 6 years old. She did.
Yeah, that's it.
Denise Case is our Director of Entertainment Creative. I know that's a surprise, right? From Disney Live Entertainment. But what Denise does, if you've been on a Disney cruise, do you enjoy the entertainment when you're there, right? It's like no other experience, right? Well, what Denise is going to do for Disney Lookout Cay is, as the Director of Entertainment, she's going to be developing some really groundbreaking family entertainment with a twist in a really unique way that we haven't done before. So she's got a lot to share as well. And last but certainly not least, what I like to tell people is kind of what I wanted to be when I grew up before I went to journalism school. Theodore Elliott, who is a Bahamian artist, and we're really glad to have you here with us today. He is a fashion designer from Nassau, Bahamas, and we're really delighted that he actually designed the adorable looks for Mickey and friends when they go to visit Disney Lookout Cay. And they are fabulous couture looks. He's going to tell us a little bit more about that. One of the things that Theodore has done that you're going to hear as you hear from him that's really incredible is that the art that he's created, these looks he's created, they really reflect the culture, all the colorful hues that you find in island life, right? And that's been evident in his fashion designs before. He didn't just start with us. But if you want to know a little bit about him, he is designed for the likes of Miss Universe contestants, celebrities that you've heard of. I won't list them here, all but here, brides, and government officials, just to name a few. So Theodore, welcome, and thank you for rounding out our panel. So that's a heck of a panel. It's like my own group of Avengers, as I like to say, that we've assembled here. So let's jump in and get started, because we have a lot to share. And I'm just going to go right to my left, Joey, and start with you. And like all good stories at the Walt Disney Company, let's begin at the beginning of the story. And I'm wondering if you can just tell us, what was the inspiration behind creating Disney Lookout Cay? And then how did we, decide to go to Eleuthera, right, in the Bahamas to create this stunning tropical retreat? Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. So by the show of hands, y'all are not strangers to Disney Cruise Line or the Bahamas, right? And Disney Cruise Line has been bringing guests to the Bahamas for over 25 years at this point. Castaway Cay is beloved by our guests, we know that. Lighthouse Point, Disney Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point is a little different. What makes the Bahamas interesting? A lot of people think about it as a place where there is sun, sand, and sea. We're known for our beauty, right? But it is also a place that has rich traditions, right? That has a deep culture, that has a history that is unique to this particular part of the world. And I think Eleuthera is a really good example of Bahamian history, Bahamian culture, and traditions that we share as a people. Eleuthera is an island that was settled in 1640 by a group called the Eleutheran Adventurers, who were escaping Bermuda from religious persecution at the time. They came to Eleuthera, settled there, and really the heart of the Bahamas, as Eleutherans like to think, starts there, right? Eleuthera, as is the rest of the Bahamas, is beautiful. It has a lot of natural wonders, the glass window bridge that separates the Exuma Sound from the Atlantic Ocean, right? You have pink sand beaches that stretch for miles, blue holes that have mermaid stories attached to them, cathedral caves that reach up into the sky with filtered light and roots hanging down. I mean, a really gorgeous place to visit. But what also makes Eleuthera special are the people. They are a warm people, right? They have deep traditions. The communities are small. There's such history around Junkanoo there. And what Disney Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point does is really enhances, engages, embraces both the natural beauty and the culture of the island and brings it to you as guests. And so we're really excited to use our site as an opportunity to expose our guests to Bahamian culture and the natural beauty. And I will tell you that for those of us at Disney Cruise Line, we have been going to Eleuthera since 2018, 2017, right? This is not a flash in the pan moment. Our executives have been in these communities. They've taken suggestions from the communities. We've worked with local organizations, both in Eleuthera and around the Bahamas, to bring the experiences that we will talk about to life. And one of those key agencies that we've worked with, for example, is the National Junkanoo Committee. And you will hear quite a bit about Junkanoo as we move forward, because it is the preeminent cultural celebration in the Bahamas, and it is an exciting way for us to really immerse our guests in Bahamian culture.
It's really well said, Joey, and I will tell you, I think we all know from personal experience, right? It just is a fantastic way to celebrate Bahamian culture, and we're so delighted that our guests will have an opportunity, really a unique and special opportunity to experience that in an authentic way. And I want to continue on that, so let's talk Junkanoo, right? Because it really is such a key recurring theme that our guests are going to see when they visit Disney Lookout Cay, right? It's really kind of woven into the fabric of that experience. So I want you, and then Theodore, I'd love for you to jump in on this as well. Just to explain to our guests, now there's some who may have been to the Bahamas and had a chance to experience Junkanoo, but I'm going to take a quick poll and then I want us to talk a little bit about it. So how many of you've been to the Bahamas, but have you experienced Junkanoo? Raise your hand if you have before. So we've got 2, right? All right, so that's great, right? We have a lot of first timers here. And so many people, as we've been talking about Lookout Cay, we've been so excited about it. You know, I've gotten the question a lot of times, well, Yolanda, what exactly is Junkanoo? Like, we sort of know, but we don't really know. So I'm wondering, let's take this opportunity, Joey, start us off and explain exactly what Junkanoo is.
Yeah, so as I said earlier, Junkanoo is the preeminent cultural celebration in the Bahamas. We talked a little bit about this because you're from Louisiana,
yes,
and you have Mardi Gras and other places have Carnival. Right. The Bahamas has Junkanoo. And while Junkanoo isn't the only place, the Bahamas is the only place that Junkanoo is celebrated, no place celebrates it like the Bahamas, right? There are 2 parades, usually particularly the main parades in Nassau on Bay Street, Boxing Day and New Year's Day. It includes goatskin drums, cowbells, whistles, brass, and these amazing costumes made out of crepe paper and cardboard, some of which just sit on the head and on the body, others that have to be carried by 2 people, like the front banner in the parade. And it's really a celebration of freedom, right? It is the heartbeat of Bahamian culture, as we like to say. And the history of it is kind of contested. There are multiple stories of its origin, some dating all the way back to West Africa, and it being brought over as colonialism happened in the region. But what it has become for us in the Bahamas is symbolic of who we are as a people. It is our creativity, our energy, all of it encapsulated across these 2 parades during the holidays. And Theo can talk to you a little bit more about the design elements and how that creativity comes to life in the parades themselves.
Yeah, Joey gave you a mouthful, but I'm going to tell you that, for me, Junkanoo is the rhythm of the Bahamas. It's twice per year, twice per year, and it's when people from all walks of life are able to come together and enjoy the beauty of what makes the Bahamas so special as the gem of the Caribbean. When you talk about these costumes that are pulled together, you have so much color, so much vibrancy, volume, print, pattern, texture. And for me as an island nation designer, many times my collections have pulled from the inspiration of Junkanoo, the repetition, color, graphic motifs. And as you'll see in the looks that I've designed for the iconic Disney characters, Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, Donald, Daisy, Pluto, Chip, and Dale, you'll find that a lot of it features the features of Junkanoo, graphic suns which dance along the hemlines of their shirts, as well as a lot of volume, color, print, pattern, and texture. And so for me, speaking with the voice of Junkanoo is speaking with the voice of the Bahamas. And what has been so special for me is seeing the reception of Bahamians to the designs that I've released so far. Hopefully many of you have seen those already. If not, you'll get to see them today. And it really speaks to the beauty of the Bahamas. And that's what I want guests to leave with when they come to Disney Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point, to leave with the beauty of the islands and what it truly means to be a Bahamian and enjoy Junkanoo culture.
Wow, thank you. I mean, I think I'm just looking at some of the reactions. Did you learn something that you didn't know, right? It's just incredible, the authentic way it's going to come to life. And I confessed to Theodore and Joey backstage that, you know, on New Year's Day, I was with my family in the Bahamas and we were out there celebrating. And so, you know, we happened to be there and it was just an incredible experience. So the fact that our guests will have an opportunity to experience this themselves without traveling, you know, to various parts of the Bahamas, it's just very, very special and very authentic. And Denise and Cassandra, I want to come to you and let's continue with Junkanoo because it really does play a central role, right, in the experience. But can you talk about how it comes to life at Disney Lookout Cay through the lens of entertainment and also, you know, from an Imagineering standpoint?
Sure. So, you know, that rhythm, the click of the cowbells,
Yes.
the goatskin drum, the vibrant sounds of the horn, like that has to be experienced firsthand. So we are so excited that our guests will be able to be completely immersed in that music, but not just the music and dancing. You're also going to see Junkanoo influenced in the architecture and in the artwork from the local Bahamian artists. So we're very excited to bring that to everyone. And it really is going to culminate at the Bay Cultural Center, and that is really like the heart of our destination. You'll see different patterns, different textures, kind of like we're talking about with the costuming and our character looks. That Junkanoo feel of all aspects of culture coming together and really community. So the guests will be able to come and learn from local artists and learn about tradition and be completely inspired by that environment, from the artwork on the walls to the patterns on the ceiling.
And entertainment, Denise.
Hey, good morning. How's everybody doing? Good? Yes. Okay. So we started talking to the National Junkanoo Committee about a year ago, right? And when we first met with them, what a fun bunch. I mean, just wonderful, wonderful people. And when we all sat down around a table, it was interesting because we at Disney, we are storytellers at our core, right? And as we talked to the Junkanoo Committee, they are storytellers as well. And they were so anxious to share their story, the story of Junkanoo, this time-honored tradition that happens in the Bahamas. And as we all started to sit and talk and learn, it just became abundantly clear how this partnership was very, very special. And it was important to us to shine a light on this time-honored tradition in the right way and authentically. So they have been at our side, true partnership, the entire journey so far over the past year. And we have had a blast. And the thing I think I love most is that guests, when they come to Lookout Cay, Lighthouse Point, they will really be able to experience this Junkanoo in a really fun way. And how are we doing that, Denise? Well, let me tell you how we're going to do it. We have the Bay Cultural Center, which is a stunning location on the island. I can't wait for you all to see it. Cassandra, you and the Imagineers, like they've done an amazing job with these designs, y'all. You're going to absolutely love it. But here at the Cultural Center, we will have the Sights and Sounds of Junkanoo workshop. It will be curated by Miss Melinda. I can't wait for you all to meet Miss Melinda. Yes, she's from Southern Eleuthera. She is a Junkanooer herself. She's going to be leading this workshop where guests are going to be able to learn about history. So some of what Joey's talking about, right? The history. Why? Why do we do it? We're going to learn why. We're going to learn about the music. It's a huge part of the celebration, right? All about the instrumentation, the music, why they pick the themes they pick every year. The themes are very important, y'all. It's really fun. And then the costumes, which of course Theo has talked about. And not only will you learn about these things, you'll be able to do stuff. So you'll be able to participate with the music. You'll be able to make a Bahamian craft. So you'll learn about the cardboard and the pasting and the crepe paper. Let me tell you, it's harder than you think, y'all. Big props. When you see these costumes, you're gonna be like, wow, how did they make that? The guests will be able to make their own headpiece that they can wear at, are you ready? Rush! A Junkanoo celebration! Wow, what's that? Rush! You better rush! So they call it the rush now. Whoops, thank you.
Denise
They call
was so
it-
excited she threw her
I
paper.
got all my papers.
That's the spirit of Rush.
That's me. But paper. But so Rush is what they call the big parades, right? And so we will have a Rush out. We have a local Junkanoo group that we're working with. It'll be about 20 members strong. There will be all the instrumentation that Joey talked about. So there will be the drums and the bells and the whistles and the brass. It will parade around parts of the island, make its way to the Goodbay Cultural Center, where they'll be joined by Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and Daisy. Yes, the hat. And everyone will get a chance to celebrate and then parade along and join in on the fun. So we're very, very excited that guests will not only be able to hear it, make it, dance it, right? It'll be very interactive, and yeah, I think everyone's just gonna have it's very, very, very special.
Thank you, Denise. I mean, if you don't feel the entertainment, the excitement from an entertainment perspective, like pure entertainment, Disney live entertainment, I mean, you can't help but get excited. This is going to be such a truly authentic experience, and that you become a part of the story,
Yeah.
right? You are pulling our guests into the story, so we cannot wait, Denise, for them to experience it. So you touched on something when you talked about authenticity. This is clearly going to be a very authentic experience. The other thing that I want to talk about, which I really love about what we've done for Disney Lookout Cay, which is truly authentic. Theodore, I'm going to come to you. It is really the way that we have approached the looks, and you talked about that just a little bit. But we really, for this stunning destination, have created couture looks. So couture looks by Theodore Elliott, really, that our amazing characters, Mickey, Minnie, everyone, including Chip and Dale, Daisy, Donald, I've seen some of them. You live for the hat, I live for the bag. I will be looking forward. But we truly put a lot of work into creating these stunning looks. They are elevated, they're beautiful. I can't do them justice to describe them in the way that you do, but we started by talking about inspiration. Every bit of this tells a story, even the pieces and the looks that you have created. So can you talk, Theodore, about the inspiration and all of the special touches that people will see and notice when they see the characters in these beautiful designer looks?
Absolutely. So talking about the inspiration for these iconic designer looks, the theme is Junkanoo Fun in the Sun. And so these icons, Disney icons, are on vacation at Disney Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point in their designer looks by Theodore Elliott. And the theme, Junkanoo Fun in the Sun, as the name suggests, is wholly inspired by Junkanoo. First up on the lineup is Minnie. So when you look at Minnie, the hemline of her dress as well as the waistline features Junkanoo sun motifs, very typical geometric shapes. And then the beauty of the straw industry in the Bahamas, which is a very big industry back home, is referenced in the straw polka dots. If you're a Minnie fan, you know that she loves her polka dots, and so I decided to infuse a Bahamian element with raffia, colorful polka dots on the body of her skirt. The stunning piece for Minnie, I think that everyone has been talking about on all the blogs and all the social media platforms, is the straw purse that I've designed for Minnie. A huge nod to Bahamian straw work, but also very special to the island of Eleuthera is a raffia embroidered golden queen pineapple on the front face of her purse.
There's
And
Mr. Ed.
there you go.
Pineapples on it.
And so when you come to Eleuthera, there's a very rich history of pineapple growth and export. And so I wanted to give a nod to Eleutherans, not only because my family is from there, but because that is where this project will call home. And so that is Minnie. When we look at her pal Mickey, the Bahamian conch shell comes to life on his pants. It's a beautiful pop art stylized Junkanoo conch shell. And you cannot come to the Bahamas and not have conch. So I saw that all of you have been to Castaway Cay. Has everyone had conch already? Show of hands? Okay, so we gotta fix that when you come. You gotta fix that when you come.
Fritters.
All conch fritters, all conch
Officially
fritters.
have visited the Bahamas, right? If they can try today.
Right. So Conch comes alive on Mickey's shorts, and what you'll find with all of the characters, they have a bit of straw infused in their accessories as well. So Mickey has on a pair of straw loafers as well as a straw visor. When we jump on over to the fashionista Daisy and her pal Donald, Daisy has a huge Bahamian straw hat. She's a Bahama mama to her core, and she has the Junkanoo sun rays dancing along her neckline as well on our puff sleeves. Donald is on vacation, Junk Canoe Fun in the Sun. He opens up his sailor vest to reveal Bahama Blue Waves, which is very exciting for me. When we dance on over to the Chipmunks, Junk Canoe Fun in the Sun comes to life on their shirts with Junk Canoe infused sun rays, which dance along their shirts. I personally want the backpack that Dale is carrying, a straw backpack, again, a nod to the Bahamian straw industry. And then when we look at Goofy and Pluto, I'm going to tell you, hands down, Goofy is my favorite out of the bunch. His Junk Canoe inspired piece is an oversized Junk Canoe vest. So when you get to see what Junk Canoe looks like, it's really constructed of crepe paper, fringed in just various different ways. And so his vest is an actual vintage Junk Canoe piece, which will be on display. When we bounce on over to Pluto, he's got a mix of everyone's aesthetic in his dog collar and scarf. And he has conch shells. He has Junk Canoe motifs as well as Bahama waves. So for me, it was very special to not just make the costuming of Junk Canoe come alive, but to introduce it in a very resort designer wear collection for these Disney icons. And I want to tell you that this is special for me because this is the first time in the history of Disney that they've ever allowed a celebrity designer to dress all 8 of their icons, and so it's an historic move for Disney. It's an historic move for the Bahamas, and it's so culturally infused. I feel special about this because so much of the Bahamas is on display, and I think that it's huge kudos to Disney for allowing Bahamians to feel at home and for tourists to be able to enjoy what it means to truly be Bahamian.
Absolutely, we're so proud of it, and thank you for underscoring that. And I just love hearing the detail, right? And to share with our group today, all of the inspiration, all of the special touches. Speaking of our beloved characters, Denise, I'm going to come back to you because what our Disney Cruise Line guests, and really Disney fans everywhere love, right, are really one-of-a-kind, unique entertainment experiences, right? It's only Disney can do. So what does that look like on Disney Lookout Cay?
Right, our one-of-a-kind entertainment offerings that always feature our friends, our character friends, right? So one of the other things that you can do is head on down to the Play Pavilion, where you can experience the Fun in the Sun Beach Bash. Fun in the Sun Beach Bash. This is a dance party meets beach games meets Chip and Dale and Goofy and Pluto. And the cool thing about this party is that the Disney music has been created by Victor Johnson, who is a Bahamian musician and artist. He is wildly talented, and he took some of our favorite Disney songs, like Eye to Eye. Yes, see, I know. Rescue Rangers, yes, kick it old school, thank you for the nods, yes. And he put these Bahamian beats to them. So when you hear Eye to Eye with that soca groove and you hear Rescue Rangers, it's just, you all, it is so fun. It's just really terrific. Guests are gonna love playing the pineapple toss game. There's Chip and Dale's Water Brigade, right? Goofy has his Goombay Limbo. It's gonna be very fun. Characters there. Playing in the sand at the Play Pavilion. We're very excited. Oh my, I'm giving up.
She's so excited.
Let me tell you.
That's how excited we are. That's how excited we are.
I don't need this.
Denise, thank you for that. And one of the things that I will point out, I think you know this cold. But even in the naming, we keep talking about the theme of authenticity. Play is actually a reference from the Bahamas. So even through these amazing experiences, right, it's infused with authenticity. So I talked about, every part of this, really putting, your heart and soul into it. Another piece of it is what you will see visually when our guests walk onto the island. It will just be visually stunning. The island itself, the natural beauty, but our Walt Disney Imagineers have been very intentional, right, to, bring through brightly colored architecture, the artistry of the Bahamas, and have that reflected in the venues. So Cassandra, can you talk us through a little bit about the structures there and how they are a part of the story as well?
Yes, I'd love to. So when you arrive, it's going to be really, you'll be overwhelmed by the natural beauty. And really that, along with the Bahamian culture and art, is the focus. So we have some really kind of large architectural buildings, and they're like the gathering places. So whether you're dining at the dining pavilions or you're coming together at the Goombay Cultural Center, these have huge structural roofs that have really organic shapes. They're actually inspired by shells that you can find around the Bahamian Islands. you're going to see all kinds of patterns from these shells, and it'll actually be kind of fun to take note and kind of see if you can figure out which shell it comes from. Our smaller buildings, maybe like little food and beverage where you pick up a little treat, those you're going to notice are really inspired by this mixture of color, pattern, texture. You're going to see all of these kind of Junkanoo, colors and textures actually in the architecture, and you will also see across both the large scale buildings and the small a display of beautiful Bahamian local art. So we've got artists that have painted conchs and palms that you'll see actually under the roof structure, huge scale. We're going to have art on the walls. We're going to have artists, they put together these really beautiful plaited headdresses that you'll see in the cultural center. And we also have beautiful stunning murals that are on several buildings that are going to be a perfect photo opportunity. So it is really throughout every single building, you're going to see a touch of Junkanoo, of culture, and also flora and fauna. So it's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm excited as well. I can't really wait to see the reaction of our guests when they see it, right? We're talking it, but wow, it really is going to come to life. And I just want to continue talking about these locations. And so for our panel, I want you to talk a little bit more about these different locations, Cassandra, that you build these beautiful structures, what our guests will be able to experience in some of those. And so there's so many dimensions to this. We're going to unpack this for you, and I'm excited for the group to share. But Bradley, I want you to talk a little bit about, again, talking about the natural beauty. How are our guests to be able to experience that as a part of their visit there?
Okay, so before we started this project, we spent years studying the site at Lighthouse Point, and as we've mentioned, its beauty is almost incomparable, right? And so we wanted to find a way to, number one, protect that environment, and so we designed our project to avoid some very sensitive areas on site that are never going to be touched. We're only up to 16% of the property has been developed so far, and so we're maintaining that commitment. But we also found some areas that we wanted to curate for our guests, so that we could give them a sense of place, to give them an opportunity to really take in the beauty of Lighthouse Point. And so we have developed a nature trail, and this nature trail goes over some of the habitat going toward the beach. You pass by cliffs, and you get to see some of the geologic features of the site. And then you also have signs that interpret what you see around you. And so much of the site is covered with birds of the Bahamas. So we have these birds that only exist in the Bahamas, some of them at Lighthouse Point, others that migrate between the US and, Lookout Cay. And so I wanted to really work towards sharing that with our guests through our nature trail. So that's one of the most emblematic things. But otherwise, you'll see nature all around you at Lookout Cay. So welcome.
I love that. So many ways for our guests to experience it. And so, they're, in addition to nature, you're actually learning, right? You're learning something while you're on vacation. That's great. I know there's more to share. There are adventures you'll be able to go on. There are ways to relax. So Cassandra, Joey, and Denise, I think in each of your areas, there are ways that guests will be able to do that. So jump in and share how guests will be able to experience it from your perspective.
Sure. So one of the places that I'm really excited about is the family wet play. It's for all ages, and this really kind of embodies the Junkanoo Chef, which we haven't exactly talked about yet, but it's a really important part of the Junkanoo celebration. Those few days where they come together and have this explosion of music and culture are amazing, but there is a lot behind the scenes that goes on leading up to that time. And so this wet play is so fun, it's so interactive, and it really embodies this spirit of community that comes together at the Junkanoo Shack to put together all of these elements that make the Junkanoo Parade. And we're also going to have some really fun, unique characters just for our destination. And you'll see them in little vignettes. They're working on different aspects of Junkanoo, maybe cutting some crepe paper or painting one of the costumes. So we're very excited to share that with our guests.
So these are brand new characters.
Brand new characters, never seen before.
Introducing a lot of firsts here, right? A lot of firsts. So it feels like there's an opportunity to really explore, right? And then participate in some of the great, experiences that you've put together. Joy, I know you're going to talk a little bit about exploring the island, but Denise, you want to talk about some of those special adventures that they'll have from your perspective?
Yeah.
You've really created some really fun things. Can you share some of those?
We're really excited. So of course, let's talk kids. Let's talk youth activities. Yay! So the youth activities area on the island is called Sebastian's Cove. Very appropriate. Crabs. There's lots of crabs on the island. Land crabs. They're super fun. So I think it's very appropriate. call you Sebastian's Cove. But Sebastian's Cove, of course, it's our youth activity spaces for our youngest cruisers, and there we are going to have a program called Play in Nature. And we're very excited about this one because we've created it in collaboration with Nat Geo Kids. So that means it had to meet a very specific criteria, which we're very proud of. And in this program, your kids are going to learn about the land, the sea, and the air. There are diorama boxes. Remember the old dioramas? Yeah. Kids have to kind of guess who's the critter inside. You spin the box around. You learn about the critter. You play games. It teaches you about the critter. It's going to be very interactive, very fun. So yes, don't tell the children they're learning, but they're learning and having fun while they're doing it. So we're very excited about that. Teens and tweens, we have a really great program for them called Sand Creature Creations. Ever want to sand sculpt? Right? Ever want to do that? We partner with some of our sand sculpting gurus. I'm sure some of you have been to Epcot and seen some of the amazing sand sculptures that have happened. Yeah, we partnered with some of our friends there. And they have created a program for our teens and tweens where they show up at the beach and they learn to sculpt 5 different creatures. They can pick which creature they'd like to carve, and they can take pictures with it, selfies with it, and of course, once we're done with our sand creature creations, we restore the beach to its natural state, right? Because again, environmentality, conservation is all part of the messaging with some of our younger guests.
Absolutely. There's so much to do.
There's
My
so
goodness.
much
And
to
something
do.
for everyone, right? The
Yeah,
kids,
there
the
really
teens, the
is.
tweens. It's sort of like being on a Disney cruise, right? Something for everyone. So I love the programming there.
Yeah, there's also Seek and Find. I forgot to mention this. There's Seek and Find, which is also for teens and tweens, and this is a hit list of 80 things. 80 things on the island. You've got 30 minutes to go list out and find as many of these things as you can. And the cool part about that is it's not only about the flora, the fauna, some of the natural habitat around you, it's also the art. We want them to get out there and find those murals and find this artist. So we're very excited about that too.
And how many of you know or have teenagers that will find all 80 in the time? Yeah, you're like that.
They love
Okay,
their
raise your
competition,
hand.
don't
Right,
they? Love
done
their
and done,
competition.
right? Absolutely. But wait, there's more. There's more, right? I love the spirit you talk about Nat Geo, for the kids. But there's a lot to explore, right? For families, adults, and people of all ages. Joey, I want you to share a little bit about those experiences.
Yeah, I think what's special about Lookout Cay is that unlike Castaway Cay, which is on an island unto itself, we are on a mainland island, right? There are real communities, there are real people on this island, and we want to encourage our guests to go out there and explore the island. Eleuthera is 110 miles long, so you can't explore all of it, right? You can only go so far. But even within the communities that you can reach, there is so much to see. And so we've been working with local vendors in the port excursion space to really build out some cool experiences, some very cool adventures that'll take you off property and into the communities that make Eleuthera special. And this is some of the work that I'm most proud of on the public affairs side. Through our corporate responsibility work, we've been working with the Small Business Development Center and the Bahamas Development Bank to really give these vendors, new and emerging and existing businesses, the resources that they need to build experiences that are, again, as authentic as they can be, so that we can really get you guys out there to see the rest of the island of Eleuthera.
Absolutely. We've been very intentional about that, so we're very proud of that work. And speaking of being intentional, right, which is really how we've approached this from the very beginning, as you said, Joey, I want to pivot and talk about something that's really been at the heart of this project. And Bradley, I want to come back to you, right? From the beginning, we have really focused on our commitment to this project relative to sustaining the beauty. You even heard Denise saying, we'll build these beautiful sand sculptures and then return the area to its natural beauty, its natural state. And that is really at the heart of what we've done, right? Our commitment to sustainability, our commitment to preserving the beauty on the island of Eleuthera. So Bradley, I wonder if you can talk about, as the person who's managed those programs for us, how we focused on that and then how that shows up as we welcome our first guests to the island.
So the first time I visited, at the time it was called Lighthouse Point, now it's Disney Lookout Cay, was in 2008, and I camped there for 2 nights, and I feel like I have a really deep connection to that place. But our company also has a really long-term relationship with that site. We've been studying it, looking at the flora and fauna on land as well as in the ocean for years now. And so we've been very strategic about how we develop the site, and we've made some decisions about how we would build Lookout Cay so that we could coexist with the nature around us, particularly when guests arrive, they're going to cross over a trestle pier, which is basically a bridge over coral reefs. And so we've constructed this to allow those reefs to continue to exist, but also to allow our guests to visit the island. We've done a lot of work on land as well. And so, it was really interesting hearing Theo talk about the straw work. We have a number of thatch palms on site, so I think it'd be very interesting for guests to look around and say, well, that's the tree that the straw came from to make that bag. And so we've done some curation of those experiences as well, so that guests can learn about that. I love the mention of the crabs. The word is ubiquitous. So, but we've taken it to another level. Those crabs are actually being tracked on our site, so we can find out how they use the site, when do they need to access the beach, and we can facilitate that. And we love for our guests to, take ownership of these creatures as well and enjoy that experience. And so we've done a lot to curate these experiences. We have been tracking birds. We've transplanted over 800 coral to facilitate our port. And we're going to continue doing this work, and we want to share it with our guests as well. And so looking forward to having people there to share that with them.
Thank you for sharing that, Bradley. Denise said, don't tell the kids they're learning. But I think we will all be learning, and I love that some of the birds that you'll find there are only on the island of Eleuthera, right? So it's just going to be a very, very rich experience. I want to come back quickly to where I started, and I talked about asking you all where you had visited and if you sailed with us before. And we were talking about how our two beautiful island destinations really complement one another. And so now you're taking a Disney cruise. When we open Disney Lookout Cay, you'll have an opportunity to have a stop at Castaway and at Disney Lookout Cay, right? And you're hearing a little bit about what that experience is going to be. But Denise and Cassandra, and Denise, I'll start with you. I wonder if you can expound a little bit on how these two will complement each other. Both fantastic experiences. But can you do a little bit of a deeper dive for our folks today?
Sure, and my friend Cassandra's going to keep me honest here. But the
Yeah.
storytelling, because we always start with Once Upon a Time, right? So Once Upon a Time, there's Castaway Cay, and that island, the story behind it, from our imaginary friends, is that everyone was kind of cast away on a deserted island in the middle of the Bahamas, right? So it's a very fictional place. It is one of the most beautiful places ever, right? Great day, fun in the sun, wonderful things to do there. Different from that now is Disney Lookout Cay, right, at Lighthouse Point, which is, as Joey has so wonderfully said, is a real place with real people and a real culture. It is truly about the Bahamas. There's nothing fictional really about it, right? So I think those, and again, stunning, beautiful, and it's just different. As soon as you step onto Lookout Cay, it just feels very, very different, but yet beautiful and wonderful all in the same way. So I think that guests can really dive in and become enriched in the Bahamian culture at Lookout Cay and still have like best beach day ever at Castaway as well, right?
Yeah, and we just love that some of our guests will get to go to both in one sailing, right? Some of our sailings will include stops at both destinations, so very exciting. Cassandra, please add to that.
Yeah, well, that'll be amazing to get to go to both.
Absolutely, I know,
Yeah.
it's all up, right?
Yeah, so I think that, these two locations are both in their own right stunning, beautiful, amazing. Our guests are going to see a lot of some familiar areas. So, our favorite Serenity Bay, adult only, beaches, cabanas, dining pavilions. We're going to have family spaces, and we'll have, our regular dining pavilions for everyone. Very, very similar to Lookout Cay, to Castaway Cay. But at Disney Lookout Cay, we're going to have a little twist, a unique kind of flavor, an overlay that really focuses again on the flora, the fauna, and the Bahamian culture. I mean, when you're in those cabanas, of course they're private, they're amazing, you feel so special, but the overlay is beautiful coral or beautiful sea grapes like you see here on this graphic. And when you go inside, you're going to have artwork that's from Bahamian artists and like hand-plotted artwork. So I think that, that's really the kind of twist that makes it a little bit different at Disney Lookout Cay.
Thank you all for that. I mean, the time is just flying, and I know we have a few other things to get to, and there may be some questions. We want to get to those eventually as well. But the last thing that I'd like to ask all of you is, what are you most excited about with the opening of Disney Lookout Cay this summer at Lighthouse Point? What are you most excited about? And I mean, there's so much to choose from. Is it walking the nature trail? Is it the Gombe Center, Cultural Center? Is it, you know, the sand sculptures, entertainment, retail, the food? What are you most excited about? And I know it's hard to pick, so I'm giving you a moment to kind of think about it, right? Joey, I'm gonna come to you. Tell me what are you most excited about? Well, you're seated tonight.
Yeah.
Easy, right? She's like, I would have done it.
Yeah, yeah.
He's right there.
So I've been working on this project since 2018 with the Disney Cruise Line team before I was even in this position, seeing this project come alive has been one of the true joys of my career. What I'm most excited about is that heart of Disney Lookout Cay, like that Goombay Cultural Center. I have worked on development projects in the Bahamas for years, and I have never seen this kind of intentional embrace of Bahamian culture in a way that connects it with a golden thread to Disney, right? Which is that storytelling element. And that is all gonna be really centered at the Goombay Cultural Center. And so I'm excited to see all the entertainment, all the merchandise vendors, all of those things come together in this one space and really immerse our guests in Bahamian culture. So very excited about that.
Theodore, let's talk over to you.
Sure, I guess for me, I think the most exciting part is going to be the retail opportunities for guests to be able to take home a piece of the Bahamas with them. And I'm not just talking about the Theodore Elliott collection, but Bahamian vendors will be able to have their Bahamian art on display for our Disney Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point guests to be able to take home. But also talking about what Theodore Elliott is bringing to the table, we have some exciting looks for both men and women. This is going to be my first time delving into menswear, so very excited to debut a menswear collection with Disney, as well as some women's wear pieces. You'll be able to experience some of those today before you get to lead a very beautiful shift dress. This is also my first time delving into pattern design for textiles, and so Disney is getting a lot of firsts out of Theodore Elliott. So I'm very excited to share very much Junkanoo inspired sun motif along with the beautiful waters of the Bahamas in my women's wear pieces, also reflected in the men's wear pieces. So retail, a very big part of the Disney experience on the island that guests will be able to take home very unique pieces of the Bahamas with them when they leave.
Yeah, I think we're excited as well. And Cassandra, what are you most excited about?
I have to say it's really hard to just pick.
It is. It's hard.
It is, especially when you've worked on a project for such a long time. There are so many things from, you know, the stunning rock formations. I've been to cathedral caves, all the animals, the curly-tailed lizard, you know, so many things are so special to me, but I think you guys can probably guess. I'm going to say the most important thing I think that I want to share with our guests is that connection that we have with the artists, because they're really sharing their stories.
Yeah.
They're sharing their passion for the community and for the land, and that I just feel like really comes through when you're at this destination. And I just can't wait for everyone to experience that collaboration and community when they're there. It was just such a really touching experience for me.
Well said. Very hard. I told you they put their heart and souls into it. You can really feel it, right? This has been just a project, you know, surrounded with so much heart and so much passion for the work that we do. And Bradley, what about you?
Again, it's very difficult. You know, I've been doing a lot of the operations work, and we are using as much renewable energy as possible. We're limiting how much footprint we put on the property, etc. But all of those things that we're doing are, you know, to make these interactions between our guests and nature possible. So what I'm really looking forward to is for, you know, a child to ask me, what is that crab doing? What kind of crab is that? Is it a boy or a girl? You know, to be able to show somebody a bird and say, you know, that's where it's nesting, and you know, this is the season for it to have babies. That's what I'm really looking forward to.
Wow, well said. And thank you for helping us to always operate responsibly, which is, you know, a cornerstone of everything we do at Disney Cruise Line. And Denise, because you're entertainer, I've asked you to bring us home.
Bring us home, big finale.
How can you choose one? It's like choosing your favorite child.
I know.
But tell us what you're most excited for to close us out.
It's the people for sure.
Yeah.
It's there's so much pride with our Junkanoo group and the artists that we've been working with, as Cassandra said. They're so proud to be working with us too, and they're so proud to be able to bring their art to our guests. So I know there will be tears opening day when our Junkanoo group is there, because I know how much it means to them and how much it means to all of us. And it's just been a really beautiful partnership. we're all family now in a lot of ways. So I think that's what I'm most looking forward to, just to have them shine their light. I think that's going to be really terrific.
Thank you. That's a beautiful way to close us out. And so join me in thanking our panel. Thank you all for joining us today. I can tell you, you can hear their excitement and enthusiasm. We are excited to open Disney Lookout Cay for the first time at Lighthouse Point to our very first guest this summer in June. So we're looking forward to it, and we look forward to having you and our other guests experience everything that you've heard about today. So are you excited about what you've heard? Yeah. Have you been thinking about your questions? Because it's that time. So thank you for letting us share all of that with you. But before we wrap things up, we do want to open the floor. I believe we have time for just a couple of questions, and of course the panel will be here. We will all be here. But any burning questions about anything that you've heard that anyone has, you want to get a couple of questions in. Okay, so Richard's hand went up first. Hey, Richard, go ahead.
Thanks, Richard.
Sure.
Sentinel, this is for Bradley. I don't know if you were working with Disney when you guys were looking at Egg Island, but I wanted to know what your interaction with the Bahamian government, whatever environmental groups helped guide your decision with Egg Island, and eventually the decisions you made here at Lighthouse Point in terms of conservation.
I think that may predate almost everyone on the panel, right? But Joey, you can probably talk about just the origin piece of this, Joey and Bradley, at the point at which, you know, you all came to the picture around 2018.
Yeah, so I was not around when Egg Island was being considered. I came in just after that, when Lighthouse Point was on the docket. And you know, Lighthouse Point is a private piece of property that had been on the market for years. We don't shy away from the fact that there was some opposition to the project, obviously. However, in a lot of ways, where we've had constructive engagement with local organizations and the government, it has guided the way that we have approached the project. I think, again, in a lot of ways, we've been entirely innovative about our approach. Bradley mentioned the trestle pier, which is, I believe, the first of its kind in the Bahamas, right? And specifically built to avoid those sensitive marine areas. Elevated walkways to reduce the impact on the terrestrial landscape. And then, you know, just a few months ago, Bradley and team had the Department of Forestry down to help them track birds and other animals on site. And so I think the best way to define our engagement right now is that it is an ongoing collaboration with the government of the Bahamas to ensure that, one, we reduce our impact, but two, that we are working with each other to build capacity, maintain the health of the site, and then eventually invite our guests to engage with that site in a way that will make all of us proud.
Thank you. Another question?
Can you talk about the dining options available on the islands?
Let's take that. Denise?
I can,
You want to talk about it? You can talk.
yeah. So we've got,
Will there be ice cream?
there will be ice cream. There will be ice
I
cream.
love the ice
And somebody told me that the chicken tenders are really important as well. So there will be chicken tenders
Bahamas,
too.
but there's always chicken
Yeah.
tenders.
And I know that the team is going to preview some of the dining options in the very near future.
Yes.
But what I can say is that you will have some of your favorites from Castaway Cay, as well as some Bahamian-inspired food and beverage options, which we are very, very proud of. Really engaging with the spices, right? The fruits and vegetables of the Bahamas to make that part of the experience really special. And like we've been talking about through this entire kind of panel, it is about being as intentional around wrapping in Bahamian culture as we can be. And so I'm gonna not break any news on that.
I know we're going to be sharing some.
Yeah, but we will definitely be sharing. We will definitely be sharing menu options in the very, very near future.
Thank you. Any other questions before we jump to our next section? Yes.
Is there a lighthouse anywhere?
Well,
That one for me too.
There actually is.
Yeah,
You
there
wanna
is.
explain
There is.
not
All right,
on
so
property, yeah.
it's interesting. So Lighthouse Point is called Lighthouse Point, although officially, and if you look at the archival work that we've done with the Antiquities, Monuments, and Museums Corporation of the Bahamas, who we work very closely with, the technical name for the building that is on the site is actually a light station, right? So it is not a lighthouse in the traditional sense, the tower with a light on top that's going around, but there is a structure there that had an outdoor kitchen, a living facility, and that was used to guide ships in from the water. Now, what's really interesting is Eleuthera also has a history, don't laugh, Eleuthera also has a history of wrecking, right? Which is an industry that a lot of folks on the rural islands, which we call the family islands, particularly at the turn of the last century, used to sustain themselves. In other words, ships would wreck against the reefs and they would go out, they would row out there and collect whatever they could and then sell the goods for later. So it's really interesting because if you leave Lighthouse Point, you can go to a settlement called Rock Sound. The original name was actually Rex Sound, right? Because it had so many wreckages there, and that is how that little city sustained itself. So there is a lighthouse, a light station. It is not on Disney property. It remains on what we call Crown land in the Bahamas, and so it belongs to the Bahamian people. It is a part of the experience, and what we've committed to is creating access, safe access to that so people can take a look at it and see it. And again, we keep it protected. It is there. If you'd like to, you can go and see it when you visit.
I love hearing the history behind it.
I know, the more you know.
I want to know more.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, you said you weren't going to break any news, but we were going to share some new news in just a moment. Yes, you have a follow-up
The other question is, can you talk about the pronunciation of K versus key?
Oh, you want to take that?
No. If you're Bahamian, it's always key.
It's
Yeah,
always
if
key.
you're Bahamian, it's always key. And so we've adopted that pronunciation, I think, for Lookout Cay. Yeah.
Yes.
As a Bahamian, it feels much better to say Lookout Cay than Lookout Cay.
Yeah.
No authentic Bahamian is going to say K.
Yeah.
Right. And again, back to
Or Koch.
authenticity.
Yeah.
We want
Or Koch.
right, as authentic as possible. Right. We do have I'm so sorry.
Can I
Is that
just ask
gonna
one quick
work?
question?
Absolutely can.
So at Castaway Cay, like the kids section is off limits to adults. Is that going to be the same at Lookout Point? And how much of the entertainment is going to be exclusive to the kids coming to the island, or is it going to be like adults inundated with entertainment as well?
It's
Great question.
so all of our youth activities areas are always secured programming, so it will be for the children. They will have their own Junkanoo, like a little Junkanoo Junior workshop, so if they don't make it out with their family, they're still going to have a Junkanoo experience. They'll have to play in nature, because as secured programming, they may not have full access to the island, right, if they're checked in. So we want to bring the nature to them, whereas other guests can do the nature trail and our discovery walk and all those types of things. So that will be secured programming, much like on the ships and much like on Castaway and at Scuttles Cove. So yes, and I think there's a really great balance between entertainment and things to do and then time on the beach. I think we've kind of programmed the island that you can be as active or as relaxed and chill as you like. We're going to offer certain things several times a day. So if you miss it in the morning, you'll have an opportunity to experience it in the afternoon. So I really like the way the island's programmed. I don't think there'll be any FOMO going on. I think there'll be just enough and just not enough to do.
Thank you for that question. Great question.
Has it been determined how the ship will dock? Like if you wanted a stateroom that with a view to the destination versus a sea view, is there a preferred side?
I don't know that that's been decided. That's a question we can check with our marine technical team and see if we've decided that yet. And I know what you mean. So you come into Castaway, you've been on our ships, you're like, I know which room I want, and I ask for it when I book. So let's follow up with you on that. I don't know if we're there yet, but it's a great question. Probably one a lot of folks are going to have. They want to be facing the island, is I think what you're asking when you come in, for sure. Okay, you ready for some new news? All right, so we do have a special bit of new news. It is not exactly what we're going to be serving because we're not going to break that news today, Joey. We're going to save the food and beverage, but we heard a lot about the fabulous entertainment. We've been talking to you about that. And Denise, you mentioned Junkanoo Celebration and
Yep.
Disney Fun in the Sun Beach Bash. I have to
Yep.
make sure I get that back. So get that right. So now you're going to be the first to see the renderings of the beautiful Junkanoo Celebration and that Disney Fun in the Sun Beach Bash. And are we in your way? We've got a couple of Vannas here. So can you all see? Are we in your way?
I would like to point out really quickly that for the
Talk to
render of the Junkanoo Rush Out, this is important, all of the costumes that you see here were created by Stephanie Pierce, who's a local Junkanoo artist in Southern Eleuthera. She actually hand drew all of the designs that you see, and then we're giving it to the Disney artists that put it in the renderer. But we just love the fact that Miss Stephanie shared her talent with us and drew all those beautiful designs that you see in the Junkanoo group.
Yeah, you've heard us talk it, but when you see it, it really brings it to life. You'll be able to take photos of this as well. And then behind me, Denise, is the Fun in the Sun.
There it is,
Bash.
there's the beach bash. There you go, Goofy's got his limbo towel, the chipmunks are playing their water brigade, of course there's Pluto's pineapple toss, and of course Joey. By the way, that was my favorite fun fact, I think, Eleuthera. Pineapples, this is a true story. At one time, there were more exported pineapples from Eleuthera than Hawaii.
8 million.
Isn't that crazy?
8 million a year. Yeah.
It's such a fun, great fun fact. Yep.
These are spectacular. So I think it really shows what that experience is going to be like. Look at the color, look at the vibrancy. You really get a feel for what our guests are going to experience when they get here. And again, you're the very first to see these. So we wanted to share a special first look at these. But wait, that's not all. You're also going to be the first to see the layout of Disney Lookout Cay. Now, our panelists have been talking about all these different experiences and all of the ways that these things are activated, but it might help you to be oriented to see a map. So this is a map of what the destination actually looks like. And when you get a little bit closer after this, you'll be able to see where all of the amenities are, but some of those attractions you heard Denise talk about, those venues that Cassandra talked about, those beautiful venues, and where the ship is docked, to your question, sir, where the pier comes out, which is down on the left, and where our, thank you, Ben.
Ship.
And where our guests will make their way over to all of those wonderful experiences. And then Bradley, as you talked about, you can see all of the green space and a really small footprint as both you and Joey talked about. Anything else for our panelists that you want to point out here as we dig through the maps? That spark anything for you and that you want to share?
There's the nature trail.
Nature trail.
Nature trail that comes all through here. This was down over here is the light. What was
The
it?
light station.
The light station is
Yeah.
down over here. Yeah.
And I do think that one of the things that I love about this map is how untouched the site is.
Yeah.
I think Bradley mentioned that, we've developed less than 16%. This is 900 acres of property, by the way, 152 acres of which private property that we are giving back to the people and the government of the Bahamas as well, because the site is so meaningful. And so I think looking at that very small footprint on what is a significant piece of property is really important on the environmental story as well.
Stunning, right? What do you all think so far, right? Just incredible. We can't wait. Well, I will tell you, I appreciate that our friends have joined us today. I'm so glad that you are all here today. This is really a part of a very historic expansion for Disney Cruise Line, right? As we move into the future, we're really excited that Disney Lookout Cay is a big part of that. And so we appreciate that you're taking the journey with us, and there is more to come. So that's not all we have for you today. If you had a chance to take a look in the back of the room and you heard a little bit from Theodore about how important the retail piece of this is today, we have another special sneak peek for you at the back of the room. And these will actually be available at Lookout Cay. So this is actual merchandise that they will be able to purchase. And here's a spoiler alert. Are you ready? They're really cute. They're so cute. They're so cute. We'll be checking your bags on the way out to make sure you're not going into your bags or mine. But one of the things we just love, we talked about the customization of this. There's custom design. There's the influence of the Bahamas there. And then you also today will have an opportunity to sample some of those delicious beverages. We didn't give them the whole menu, but these are some of the actual beverages that will be served at the destination. So you'll get to taste those today. You'll get to see the merchandise. And if you stick around, I'm going to go back to where we started. You've all been very relaxed today, but I got an eye roll from Richard. He's like, oh, you cannot sneak out, Richard. We do have a special surprise for you, and we're going to just rush you into an amazing experience, if that gives you a little bit of a hint, right? So this has been really great. Thank you, panel. Give them a hand for me, please. Joining me today. We look forward to seeing you all real soon, and stick around for that special surprise. So thanks for your attention. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.